All right, and call the March 18th Finance and Operations Committee meeting to order. Our first order of business is some discretionary funds.
Yeah, so committee to consider allocation of funds from District 2 Bethel Volunteer Fire Department for the amount of $2,400.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
And now we're going to get a finance update from Aaron, who says he's long-winded.
Let me get
tonight.
ready.
There you go.
So you got in front of you the month of January. I do want to say, as always, no surprises. That's a good thing. For the month of January, the sheriff had a vacancy rate of 7.4%, and the rest of general fund had a vacancy rate of 8.5%. A little down from previous months, but still pretty high, and we know all the issues that's causing just countywide. I kind of want to shift focus now towards next year's budget. I know that, those things are coming up. The first thing that I want to mention is the 4.4 mils in the debt service. Those will be falling off this year. We have that plan to pay off the debt. It's going all the way to zero. That should be done by the second meeting in April. I want to say April 15th. We may even have a little party because we're paying that debt off.
That's by April 15th?
April 15th. I'll let you know, we had to give 30-day notice to the bondholders, and we've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we've got everything set up, the wire and this and that. It's going to go out either the 14th or 15th, whichever day we can. But sort of on the 15th, it's pretty cool being tax day.
Will you just tell them, because they weren't on council when we made this promise to
And
people?
so in calendar year 17 for 18-year budget, worked a lot with Michael Johnson on the concept, just looking at our financials, where we're at, how we're managing our budget and stuff, that we had an opportunity, if we made some tough choices in that budget, to put ourselves in a position to be able to eliminate that debt service mills completely. You sort of get ahead of the curve, okay, like pay your house off instead of paying a car note, you're saving the next one, that kind of position. It went in conjunction with the reserve fund, which is where we pay for our capital maintenance. We have a pay-as-you-go system for that as well. So you don't have to go borrow money when you got to replace this or that.
Yeah.
We had all those items on that budget. There was a year we had to do a millage increase, and I remember Bill Blackwell sent me to go talk to a lot of our diehard Republican friends to get them to buy into this. All of them did. I remember Billy Hagner said the only thing when the government gets a tax increase, they never give it up. Because we were supposed to do 2 mills that first year, then a third one the next year. We never took the third one, then we started eliminating. We eliminated the second mills, and we've been dropping the taxes ever since. So this budget that I'm going to present to y'all, for first reading in May, will be the 5th of the last 6 years we've reduced taxes. We're putting over $20 million in the local economy. I've talked to Chris a little about having some kind of, not a celebration, but just more like a recognition of
Just let everybody know.
what that council and what every council since then done, because you voted on now, 3 budgets? Okay, so you've never gone back on that. You've always stayed the course, and that was the concern with the taxpayers, that the county council would see some taxes and just grab them, but management stayed the course, council stayed the course, and our citizens are the beneficiaries of that. So it's been 7 years in the making. This was a 7-year plan that was developed that's going to come to fruition next month.
How much was the total payoff? From
what is it, $50-60 million, something like that,
50 or 60?
that we had to squirrel away, and we've had that money invested during the interest to get to the point where we could pay the debt off. We've done that successfully, and we continue to, and this is the thing that y'all should be very proud of. We operate conservatively in our budgets. We try to be conservative on our revenues, and we try not to add a lot of new employees or whatnot, with the expectation we're setting some money aside every year, and we have been. We're going to build a $30 million booking center, paying cash, not borrowing money for that. And look where rates are right now. Had we not put this plan together 7 years ago and had the council since then not stuck with it, we'd be going out there and borrow money at these high rates.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is keeping that $20-something million in the local economy, recirculating. That's what y'all as a council have been able to do. It started with that council, but every council since then has followed through with it. So it's, I think rightfully so, something to pat ourselves on the back on in April. Rumor has it there might be somebody all running for re-election that might want some good news about tax reductions. I just heard that
There
out
you
there
go.
somewhere.
So I will
So-
say that was the good news about the budget, though.
Yeah.
Looking at FY 25's
Oh, yeah.
budget and preliminary numbers, this may be the hardest budget that since Kevin's tenure has been here, honestly, to put together.
Inflation's been-
Inflation is hitting us harder than it has ever hit us before, and I mean, there's just nothing we can do about it.
The
So-
service contracts we've got have just grown
Oh, I bet.
exponentially, 50%
Okay.
increase. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been a huge, and you can't cut those. We've got to keep those service contracts in place. So this is going to be a tough budget. You know, my goal is to present you all a balanced budget with no tax increases. That's going to be my goal.
Yeah.
And we're working on that right now. Trish, we've got some meetings tomorrow. We hope by the end of this week, early next week, to have the general fund, to have everything in. And then we've got to go through and look at what we've cut in expenses outside of payroll. And then we're going to visit their personnel requests. There's a process we go through to get where we get, but the first thing is to find out where we sit outside of payroll. And then we look at the money we have for new positions, and then it's a competition for those new positions based off the money we have.
So, quick question. So, as far as back to the amount that was paid out, 50 or 60 mil, what was the millage rate percentage saved, like, for taxpayers by paying this off?
Well,
in
that's-
general.
the debt service millage peaked out at 11.2 mils. Okay, that's going to zero.
Okay.
Now, we've had
Peaked out
tax.
at 11, it went to
11.2.
like since 2017?
Yes, well, there's, I think 17, 18, when the full burden of all the debt payments were on there was 11.2. The sheriff has grabbed some millage along the way for his
Okay.
needs, okay? And that's another thing everybody recognized back then. This is my first budget, the one I gave council before this. The sheriff has a different mission than we do.
Yeah.
So he's got his own millage. Y'all are still responsible for it, but he would take the political heat, so it's broken out on the tax
Right.
bills, okay? He has increased his taxes since then.
Right.
We've pretty much held ours, reduced them, the rest of it, but I don't really.
And so
I don't
the
wanna
reason
start-
I'm asking is, so the consumer comes, you know, the resident will come to me, how much now that this paid off, how much is this saving us in taxes a year on an average? You know, that's the reason.
The county taxes are gonna be down from the millage standpoint. This is where it gets complicated, okay, because you got reassessment of the things in there. But if you think we got up to, what, 80 mills or something like that, Aaron, at the
Something,
peak?
yeah,
Okay,
something
and we're down 9 mills the last 5 years. We'll be down 13.4 after this.
Okay.
So we're going to be north of 10%. We've reduced our millage, and I would make sure you say it like that.
So it's
We've
a
reduced our
10%
millage
by 10%.
more than 10%.
More than 10%,
And don't say
okay.
taxes, because you got like some people whose house has grown because
Well,
the
right,
value's
it's all
taken
based-
off.
right, right.
So but our millage, and when you look at our percentage of the taxes compared, if you break down the municipalities and school districts,
Yeah.
our percentages continue to shrink.
Well, that's something I can use.
Yeah.
But that's what I was gonna
Because
also
it's-
say,
yeah.
because a lot of times when people will call you and they fussing about the dang taxes,
Yeah.
and it ain't the county, it's the school.
Right.
But
It's
we-
the school
and the
and
We're
the-
typically the one that get blamed
yeah.
for that, but I know you've got, I think one municipality, do you have part of Fort Mill in yours too?
Mhm.
But if you want, and I'll do it for any citizen that want to know, I can sit down and go through the taxes in your particular areas
Mhm.
and show you what they were and what they are now, and the percentage of the
Mhm.
county then and now as well.
Well, that helps
You
knowing
get some of that stuff.
roughly 10%. That's
So,
on the
so
millage,
the
on the
millage,
millage.
the
on the
millage is
millage, on
reduced.
millage component.
Yep.
But they're going to ask, so that's
Yeah.
why.
Millage
yeah.
is reduced over 10%
Yeah,
since 2017. Is that right?
just I'd want Aaron to vet that number to make certain, because 18 I think is when we had the 11.2 go up. I mean, we're going to have we've reduced taxes 9 mils, and this includes the sheriff's money that he's
Yeah,
added.
4
Okay,
mils.
so the sheriff's stuff has gone up
Upstairs.
while we've taken down, but in total it's been a net 9.
Oh,
I would say
Yeah.
we've reduced 9 mils in the last
Okay.
4 or 5 years, with another
I know Kevin's
4.4 this
bragging.
year.
Okay.
And leave it at that, because let him bet the percentages on everything.
No, but
it
that's
should be
good.
north
That
of
gives
10.
me some.
well, and if we're gonna have a little celebration or do a little something, you put together the whole, all the correct wording so that we don't misspeak on anything like
My goal would
that.
be to work with all of you to make sure you understand all the details.
Yes,
So when it's
that's-
talked about,
Right,
know about the
right.
facts.
Okay, all right.
All right, so,
Can you get an approval for the minutes?
yeah, approval for minutes, March 4th, the Finance and Operation Committee meeting.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Go home.
It wasn't you that was long-winded.
But now you tell me this.
Without going into it.